Welcome one and all to the latest Lance Minheim HO Scale blog entry, except wait a second. Except that we are actually on location on the CSX downtown Spur. 3.5 miles of exclusive trackage in the Miami area. As of the end of 2020, the downtown Spur still has 5 active customers, and all of them but Cliff Berry and the former Trujillo & Sons, which is not place marked in the map, have been covered at some point in my YouTube channel. Look at the Voodoo and Palmettos playlist to see those videos.
Copy that Y322. Starting entrance in the main track, 46th Street, Miami now. Holding
CSX Y322 has authority to open up and occupy the main track between 46th Street, Miami Canal, and hold all switches over.
That's all correct.
Thanks for guiding a little bit. 322 out.
SFRTA dispatcher DMR has just given permission for train Y322, the downtown Spur and East Rail switcher, or really the anywhere in Hialeah switcher depending on what day it is, to clear off the downtown Spur, enter the main line, and proceed to East Rail. Now, if this were the old days where the SCL station was located in downtown Miami, you would be going through a power switch and a controlled interlocking. But unfortunately, the downtown Spur got downgraded so much that the train has to operate a hand-throw switch to get off the Spur and operate another hand-throw switch to enter the East Rail siding. But before we follow this job on the East Rail District, I do want to divert us to the FEC's Central Industrial Section, which by some coincidence is also worked at this time of day. This is the 5-day-a-week FEC downtown job, working the Florida Bulk Transfer Facility owned by Norfolk Southern. Now, one of the most interesting commodities that this park handles is refrigerated carbon dioxide, which is kind of a misnomer, because under 1 atmosphere of pressure, you cannot really refrigerate it to obtain a liquid state. It only sublimates, so you have to pressurize the cars accordingly so that you can achieve that liquid state. Among the other commodities you'll find handled at Florida Bulk: plastics, corn syrup, flour, maybe even grain. So what really caught my eye about the downtown job was that locomotive that you see appearing on the screen. FEC GP38-2 number 511, the last true going places in Florida engine on the roster. It's already something that this engine plus 2 other GP38s that stand within FEC's roster to this day have that going places in Florida logo, but sisters 508 and 510 both got intrusive nose jobs, leaving the 511 the true heritage unit. After a breakfast at the nearby Mar Azul Cafe, we catch the FEC downtown job pulling out of the CIS 3 lead. And I will argue that in the present day, there is no better locomotive to represent the Voodoo and Palmettos vibe. To make working at the Florida Bulk a little bit easier, the train typically leaves the cars picked up at nearby Trujillo & Sons on the stem of the CIS 1 lead. 511 is now backing up to pick up those cars. Exhaustive video of the Trujillo switch can be found on my YouTube channel. The next order of business is to come out of the CIS lead, which involves operating the hand-throw switch east of Northwest 32nd Avenue. The railroad likes to exercise the habit of keeping the train solid. They backed up to pick up the train crew. They're going to be winding the train at Little River, and then they're going to wind the train again at the Medley Y for the train to back into Hialeah Yard, so that there is no runaround required whatsoever. But by the time the downtown job does all of this, train 109 gets in the picture. The 5-day-a-week, southbound FEC freight train that carries just about every commodity you can name. course, immediately after 109 passes, the signal upgrades to an approach for FEC's downtown job. That's all for that chase. Let's find out what happened to our friend Y322, which has actually tied down on the Century lead. It was really nice to see that not long after I pulled into the COD seafood restaurant shown here, that the train received a fresh crew from Hialeah Yard and would be taken off shortly. If you follow Mr. Minheim's site, you see that the COD Seafood has become an East Rail centerpiece, and, of course, my choice for this shot of Y322. The yard job is coupling to another cut of empties from Century Industries, a sodium hypochlorite producer that serves the South Florida market. The next switching move for Y322, or whatever symbol it is now, is probably one of the coolest in the East Rail area. CSX 2002 is on what is known as the Big Hole Lead, an industrial spur that once served an array of customers east of Douglas Road. However, with service dwindling over the years, we are down to only one customer left, which is Salco, a pool salt distributor that receives cars from New York State. Granted, this catch was an absolute gift from the train gods. This switching move normally happens either in the blue hour or in the early morning, which would make this shot backlit. Now the 2002 makes a very gentle joint as a very tight track, and off she goes. While it is not one of those 50-foot PCNF cars with Champion labeled on the sides, this Bayx X Grand Trunk Western car is still pretty cool. This ATW probably has different lineage. And yet it is not uncommon seeing the Douglas Road grade crossing giving this train a little trouble. But wait, there is more. There are loads to be spotted here at Salco as well. The 2002 is now shoving those into place. Remember, Salco has very tight clearance on the side of the train, so the conductor has to dismount and the train has to stop. It's evident that some precise handling had to be done so the spots could be made perfectly. And yet, here we go, 2002 on the move away from Salco with the two 50-footers delivered. And here's something possibly to look forward to, Lance Minheim's East Rail 2.0 layout, which will feature Salco prominently. I cannot wait to see this reproduced in HO scale. It is mid-afternoon and Y322 or Y150 or whatever they called it is heading finally back to Hialeah Yard. In order to do so, they will gently crawl out of East Row at the 71st Street interlocking and be on the South Florida Rail Corridor for about half a mile. Then either on the south end or the north end, the train will enter Hialeah Yard. Then the cars will be classified with other manifest for an outbound Q452. So what you saw over the course of this chase was my iPhone, which was nearly full to the rim, taking over a filled video camera. So unfortunately, this is all I would get of a later train, the FEC 5 a.m. yard job on the Medley lead, but we'll be seeing a different version of it a little bit later. Now we're going to shift gears to another downtown job in much nicer weather, with guess who, 511 leading again. It is Thanksgiving morning on the FEC. At home, things are a little bit slower. Everybody's still sleeping and I'm the only one out of the house. But on the FEC, it means a different work ethic. They continue to move freight on this holiday. However, the yard jobs are getting their work done faster. And to add to that, the downtown job does not have to work floor to bulk, as their blue flag cannot be removed by anyone and the facility itself is closed. So the main Call of Duty is an early fall morning switch at Trujillo & Sons on CIS number 1. Of course, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to redo some of the shots I had botched earlier due to the poor weather. But I would spend the next hour or so with this job. This is the 5 a.m. Medley job working Tropic Oil and also working AmeriGas, a recently reactivated LPG customer on the Medley lead. I had unfortunately missed much of the Tropic Oil switching, but you can see that on another video, and the AmeriGas switching is out of public view of railfans. So this is pretty much what we'll be able to see today. Yep, the wheels took out that piece of styrofoam like a pizza slicer. Weekday mornings around 10 a.m. you can find the 5 a.m. yard job working either F. Garcia Wholesale and Export, Tropic Oil, AmeriGas, or rarely on occasion Molinero Foods. Now for more standard switching practice, the empties are going to be cut off and then the loads are going to be spotted, but they're going to be doing this in a certain way. With all the slack, plus 2 scrap loads from Eagle Metal and Recycling near US Boundary, it's going to be very difficult to spot those tankers with the entire train solid. So the 5 a.m. is going to cut off all but one boxcar to make spotting a little bit easier. The boxcar is the obligatory buffer car. And note that the STKX car that you see here is a Tioli gondola, a pretty interesting variant of bathtub gondolas. It's interesting the eerie silence surrounding the train in this normally busy industrial complex. Another perk of Thanksgiving Day buffing. Very good for video, except we need to do something about that wind noise. So as teased a little bit earlier, the 426 is traveling engine light onto the lead to AmeriGas so it can switch the industry comfortably. That joint was butter, simply awesome. The FEC 5 a.m. yard job spends a considerable amount of its shift working the Medley yard. After staging a number of allied chemical empties that are going to be going on a later train 292 to Fort Pierce, the train is backing into the cut from Allied that is actually per diem and going back north on either 202 or 210. The joint that this train makes with that one chlorine tanker back there is going to be ending today's chase of the 5 a.m. yard job, as after all, it was Thanksgiving and I had to celebrate it with my family at home. This is how you make money. Perfect opportunity. Train's coming in 10 mile an hour. Sell some churros. This guy is a freaking genius. December 2020 was known as the month of the late 109, as oftentimes during the month, FEC train 109, which typically arrives in Miami between noon and 2 p.m., would arrive hours later, making for some excellent late afternoon chasing in the Hialeah area. And this one in particular had SD 40-2 number 720 on the lead, a sight not really seen normally nowadays. The string of high-cube TTX boxcars may segue us into one of the next catches. But before some random tee boxes get some context, another shot of FEC's 5 a.m. yard job coming back into Hialeah. They usually work a full shift and never get back in until nearly 4:30 or 5 p.m. This train worked pretty much every active industry along the Medley lead, and it shows. Among the train are some hypochlorite loads that came in on train 193 that will be worked by the 630 yard job, and a string of empty CSX coal hoppers. It was pretty neat to see this on a carload yard job. Occasionally, empties from Titan will be shuttled back to Hialeah Yard by way of the 5 a.m. yard job. It's hidden behind that boat and some of those bushes, but dependable warehousing started receiving boxcars again. and I was hoping to get him being pulled by the downtown job, but not today. And I will leave you all with a very standard catch, but a cool one at that. This is FEC Train 202 emerging from Hialeah Yard to Bowden Yard in Jacksonville. It's pretty cool to see FEC Train 202 going through here at speed, because typically they're long enough to have to crawl through here, as they have a 6-minute window from when they trigger the signal at Iris to when they actually make it before the signal drops on them. So they usually play it safe, don't go through Hialeah very fast, and then end up blocking the streets for minutes and minutes. But they were only 6,300 feet this day, and therefore were able to make it at the full speed, creating a nice little sandstorm and an overall different vibe. I would like to thank you guys for joining me in all of these catches. It was a fun period chasing all of these yard jobs, locals, and even through freight from time to time. And don't forget to leave a like, comment, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of this, especially into 2021. From Hialeah, Florida at Iris, interlocking on the FEC main line, this is TE out.